Hey everybody, Ben F, the Bonehead podcast, and it's time to talk about the World Cup. The NAF Blood Bowl World Cup is going to be happening in 2027. Last time it happened in Alicante in Spain, and yesterday the next location was announced, and it is going to be in Malta. So they recently did the bids process. So the way the NAF does this is they get people who want to volunteer to run it, to organise where they'd run it, how they'd work, just to make it work. And they submit the bids, and then there is a committee that votes for it. And we saw some really cool bids, actually. We didn't get enough time to dive into it as much as we wanted, but one in particular was the Dallas World Cup bid, put together by Steve of the Both Down podcast. If you joined us for the One World One Blood Bowl where I was on, we got a chance to talk to Steve, and actually his bid was really good. But Malta is the winner. Now, for those of you who are in Europe or UK, Malta is probably a bit cheaper to get to than America. Now, we've got a big American audience on this channel as well, so it sucks that Dallas didn't get it for you guys. Malta is quite a drive away when it comes to America. In fact, it's probably worse than most other elements of Europe. However, it's down here. So for us, I mean, where's the Canary Islands and stuff? They're all there. That's about a 4-hour flight. So from England, Malta is probably about 3.5-hour flight or something, 3-hour flight or something from England, which is, you know, great for us. It means it's really local. And there's a massive following for Blood Bowl in Malta. They've got that big old tournament that happens on the Rock in Malta and stuff. So it's a really heavy Blood Bowl area, which is super cool that we're going to get to go and visit Malta. So yeah, 2027 is happening in Malta. And like I said, they did the bids yesterday. The Dijon, France one came second. Dallas came third. And there was a New Zealand ballot as well, which was very, I mean, that would have been something sweet, but man, that would have been pricey. This is the really interesting thing about the World Cup, and this is brought up every single time, is with Blood Bowl being pretty Eurocentric, like a lot of, you know, a massive following in England, the UK, and a massive following in Spain and France as well. Like there's a lot of Blood Bowl players are kind of like, probably 50-75% of Blood Bowl players are kind of like in the Euro area. So it makes it challenging for a World Cup bid to ever really fall outside. Now, the World Cup is not a traditional World Cup. If you say to someone who doesn't understand Blood Bowl or the NAF, the World Cup, they're going to be like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's much less official than that. It's a 3-day playing of Blood Bowl party. Okay, I didn't get to go to Alicante because, like I said, it happens every 4 years, and we intended to go last time, but if you remember, Tiff and Tiff would have been 6-7 months pregnant, so we decided it probably wasn't the best. Now, this coming around in 2027 is really interesting and really quite cool for me and my family, because Libby's going to be 3. Libby's going to be 3.5. Is that right? Yeah, 3.5, which means she's not started school yet. So the plan for me and my little sphere of the world is we all go on holiday. And we try and bring the in-laws as well. They love a good hot holiday. Malta in September is going to be lovely and warm, so they can do family things for 3 days while I come play with the Blood Bowl space. So that's quite cool for me as well. Anyway, let's have a look. We're going to spend a little bit of time just going through the Malta bid, because there's some stuff in there to pull out. Now, I mean, there's some lovely shots of Malta. This is the fun bit about all these the NAF bids, is they very much read like a tourist brochure, which is really cool. But there's a couple of bits here which are really great. So Malta is a cool place, loads of history and things like that. But they are going to be working with an esports company, GMR. So GMR, a Maltese company specializing in video games and esports events, is driven by a dedicated team of gamers. Our expertise spans large-scale event management, innovative community engagement, and creating unforgettable gaming experiences. The opportunity to partner with the Maltese Blood Bowl Federation to host the Blood Bowl World Cup 2027 marks a groundbreaking moment for GMR. By bringing our extensive experience in organizing high-profile esports events to the world of tabletop gaming, we aim to set a new standard for community-driven tournaments. This collaboration allows us to combine the best of both worlds, the strategic depth and camaraderie of Blood Bowl with GMR's innovative approach to delivering professional, immersive and seamlessly managed events. Together we aspire to craft an unforgettable experience for players, fans and the broader Blood Bowl community, showcasing Malta as a hub for gaming excellence and hospitality. So, we love streaming games, we love doing game stuff. This is my dream. You will probably know this about me already. Like I came up, started playing Warhammer, went to play Magic, fell in love with the Pro Tour, like for Magic the Gathering. And all this time, my dream has been to do an esports style event for Blood Bowl. And we've tried it a couple of times with our tournaments, and I'll be really honest with you, because obviously you can just go look at the videos yourself. The viewership has been absolutely terrible for it, which normally doesn't bother us because we do this for fun, so we make the content we want to make. But when you are commentating on 3 games, running an event, 3 games a day. So we did, what did we do? We did the South Coast tournament a couple of years ago, and we did all day Saturday, all day Sunday coverage. We did all 3 rounds on one day, all 4 rounds of 7s of the second day, and it didn't work very well. So it's really interesting, and you know, I talk about this, excuse me, on the channel regularly with the lads. Like I said, even at Beachhead the other week, like Trips won't let me stream it, and it's a really interesting one because it's so much work to do alongside running an event. Now, running an event can be quite a lot of work anyway. Like we did Beachhead, it was 70 players. It's, you know, it was actually really easy to run, but it's still a lot of people to you know, just to talk to and to spend time with, and it's really wicked. So having an external company like this be able to run a load of the stuff for Blood Bowl, for the World Cup, I think is really cool, because that can kind of take the time overhead away from it. So they're doing all the stuff, potentially, which means those of us who don't get a chance to go to the World Cup can still feel a part of it. And that was something we tried to do with the Beachhead coverage at the weekend. It's a case of like, actually, you know what? There's a massive investment in moving all the cameras around, the audio setup, and making sure that it works, and then having a commentator do the whole games. Whereas actually, spending 10 minutes at the beginning of a round talking through who's in first place, what's happening, it's quite cool. It's a cool way to be engaged. So I am very excited for this element of the World Cup. Now, the World Cup sounded like it was an awesome laugh last time, and I love the idea of going to Malta, and Tiff is not against it, which is pretty wicked. So the actual Blood Bowl World Cup is going to be great. It's always been great for those who've gone. But I'm hoping that we can start to figure out a way to make Blood Bowl great for those people who can't go. Now, what we do on Monday Night Blood Bowl is we try and bring you to our league. That's how we've attacked this. Esports Tournament Blood Bowl, I love it. I love it an outrageous amount. Like, I love the idea of it, but it doesn't seem to have a massive viewership potential. I'm hoping that something as loud and proud as a World Cup could be the way we start to see more engagement with that. Is, you know, at the weekend, if you're looking on YouTube stuff, there's loads of like 40k streams from tournaments, and there's 300-400 people watching live, and that's just insane. Like, you know, we do Monday Night Blood Bowl, we get 150-200 people live, which is phenomenally brilliant. And then we do a tournament coverage, and there's like 35-40 people. And Ben called this out on the last show, which is a case of like, people who are interested in that tournament, go to that tournament. The World Cup is going to be hard to get to. It's going to be hard to get to, right? I mean, I want to go to Malta, fine. I don't know how much tickets are going to be to Malta, but I'm going to have to buy one for me, one for Tiff, one for Libby, potentially 2 more of them for the in-laws. So me going to Malta is 5 airfare, and then hotels to make that work, potentially. Like some of you guys out there who, you know, we've got some great, you know who you are. America, Australia, like that is not a small amount of money. And this is a high-profile event, a high-profile enough event that I hope this could be like a really cool way to start doing a bit more of the coverage stuff. And Blood Bowl's such a fun game. It's an interesting one to me, where if the World Cup doesn't work from a streaming point of view, Blood Bowl, nothing for Blood Bowl will work. And it might just be that because the way Blood Bowl works is you build the story with the players, which is why League works so well, which is why we had all these great moments in the last Bonehead Championship and the 7 Super Series, where you build up these characters and it's just wicked to see. Whereas it can be a lot less interesting when it's the dry mechanics of the game, unless you like that element of it, which I obviously do. Right, European flights to Malta, let's see, Birmingham, £136. Where else? London, £95. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be fine to get to, which is a really good point of choosing Malta. They've done a great job here. They've already planned, you know, there's the accessibility stuff. You've got buses here. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in this pack. I'll put the pack below. Oh, cool. Playmobil Fun Park. Wicked. But the World Cup is not about top tier Blood Bowl first and foremost. It is about getting together with a whole bunch of Blood Bowl players, bringing your family, having a holiday with a big Blood Bowl attraction part of it. That was something I didn't quite understand historically, and it took us sending Ben to come back and be like, it's a lot less about the Blood Bowl than you'd think, which when you call something a World Cup can be quite difficult to kind of cogitate. But I think now I've got a family, it's different for me. And if you don't have a family, you go with a bunch of friends, you know, lads, it's a holiday where you also get to play 3 days of the best tabletop game out there. And I think that's awesome. I'm hoping that the esports bit can bring around that competitiveness as well, which is very cool. Now, when it comes to, I'm just scrolling through this, so we've got a timetable and everything here. So the actual dates for the World Cup, which I should have dropped at the very beginning, will be Thursday the 23rd is a registration day, and then this Saturday the 24th, and the Sunday the 25th, is that right? Oh no, Friday the 24th, Saturday the 25th, and Sunday the 26th of September 2027 are going to be the days. So it's locked in. Now, in the UK, that's inside school term time. So we've already seen on Discord, because we've been having a good chat about it today. That's going to be a no-go for a lot of people who've got kids in specific years of school, or their teachers themselves. Somebody like myself, although it's 2 years away, so we none of us really know what jobs we're going to be doing in 2 years, right? Should be fine. In fact, the fact it's outside of school term means that the holidays will be a lot cheaper, which is very useful in that regard. But it is going to be, the thing is, choosing a date is always impossible for everybody, right? You've got an opening ceremony. Oh yeah, look, all the esports stuff. This could be so epic. I'm super excited. I'm super excited about this. So there's some 3D mock-ups. All right, so we know the date, we know the location. There's a couple of things we don't know yet, and that is to be remain to be seen. So the way the World Cup works is the rules pack for the World Cup is generated by the NAF Rules Committee, I believe. So the NAF will determine the rules and how it works. It's looking like it's going to be squads of 6 again. But obviously that's elements change, and it is one of the biggest things that you can come up with a challenge when it comes to the World Cup is that if 6-player team tournament, well, you need spares, you need spare teams, you need odd people. It's a really interesting thing, but the Alicante one, it sounds by all accounts, it was done really, really, really well. So it can be done really well, and they're going to be using the same software, and I think they're just doing a really good job of talking to each other and learning so that they can make it as easy as possible for everyone to turn up, play some Blood Bowl, and have a really good holiday, which is awesome in every single way. So the rules will remain to be seen, and there's 2 factors there. One is when the NAF drop the World Cup rule set, millions of tournaments start popping up using that rule set. So we're 2025. I would imagine that the rule set will drop next year. I mean, they'd be very impressive if they dropped it this year. I would be surprised if they dropped it that early. So look for all the tournaments in 2026 and 2027 to be using the NAF World Cup rules, which last time was a bit of a nuisance in some regards, in that all the tournaments tended to be the same, which was really cool to get practice games in. But the way they cut out star players and even like potentially new teams, it can be a little bit restrictive. So we saw a lot of events last year last World Cup, where there were a lot of places where you just couldn't run new star players, and it's challenging. But when you've got a big event that people are going to have to spend thousands of pounds potentially going to, having the rule set be wibbly wobbly leading up to it is tough. And it's that wonderful balance of planning ahead and making something a competitive meta really, really challenging. And you know, we're sitting here 5 years into the last edition of Blood Bowl, and this World Cup is 2 more years ahead. That's going to be 7 years of 2020 Blood Bowl. When if another edition of Blood Bowl drops, when is it going to drop? How close to the World Cup is it going to drop? I mean, we you know, with the FAQ not dropping, there's like loads of people at Beachhead were like, the FAQ didn't drop because the new edition's coming in spring. Wouldn't that be tremendous? It might not. Like, we don't know. So the closer the new edition gets to the World Cup, the more gnarly that's going to be. So that's an interesting one too. That is a really interesting one. I think it'll be fine. Anyway, I am very excited for this. I've already messaged them saying, hey, I can see you've got an esports thing lined up, but if you need any help or if we can be involved, please include us, because this is my Blood Bowl dream. Fingers crossed, who knows, but it's going to be amazing, and I intend to be there one way or another. So let me know if you go, and let me know what you think about the World Cup, and condolences to the other bids, especially Dallas. That would have been absolutely epic. And now I need to figure out another way to get to America to play Blood Bowl. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.